I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of it soon.
These famous words by former President George W. Bush embody the feelings that many people had shortly after the September 11th attacks in 2001. Many people felt not only anger, but also the want for justice and the want to make the rest of the world safe so that nothing like this would ever happen again. And all of these feelings eventually culminated in the 2001 invasion of Afghanistan. Now, as a student of political science and a political enthusiast myself, I understand the importance that this war places on safety of everyone around the globe. And we must examine as to why the United States recently has been unsuccessful in this area. To do so, we will examine four main areas. First, we will look at the strength of the insurgency in Afghanistan. Then we will look at the need for the United States to increase its troop strength. Then we will examine the weakness of the Afghan government, and finally we will look at how the neighboring country of Pakistan has not cooperated in the effort of the war on terror. In order to understand the struggles facing us in Afghanistan, we must first understand the main insurgency groups in that area. First, we will look at Al-Qaeda. Now, Al-Qaeda is most famous because its leader, Osama bin Laden, shortly after the terrorist attacks, took responsibility for training the hijackers who flew the planes into the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and the one that went down in the Pennsylvania field. The Economist magazine, a worldwide news magazine, says on August the 20th, 2009, that since the United States invasion into Afghanistan, Al-Qaeda and its main leaders have fled over the border into Pakistan. However, now that the United States has come to a standstill in its progress in Afghanistan, Al-Qaeda is looking to move back into Afghanistan and to reestablish a base there from which they could launch more far-reaching and more devastating attacks. The second main insurgency group that exists inside Afghanistan's borders is commonly called the Taliban. The Taliban, as Greg Bruno of the Council on Foreign Relations states on August 3, 2009, is a group of radical Sunni Islamists bent on taking back control of the Afghan government. They are mainly concentrated in southern Afghanistan and are a loose association of tribes and warlords. They held power from 1996 to 2001, and ever since the United States removed them from power, they have been fighting to regain this control. Because of the dire situation in Afghanistan, the United States has far too weak of a troop presence there to handle the situation. Michael O'Hanlon, senior fellow at the Brookings Institute, a political think tank located in Washington, D.C., states on October 1, 2009, that we currently only have 65,000 troops in Afghanistan, and this is not an adequate number, as even top Commander General Stanley A. McChrystal has publicly requested that President Obama send in at least an additional 40,000 troops. However, many people believe that this may not even be an adequate number because the United States forces are spread far too thin. When the U.S. troops go into southern Afghanistan in order to attack the Taliban where they live, pockets of insurgency pop up in the north and west because the United States cannot keep a great enough troop density to keep the entire country safe at these current troop levels. Also, the United States is not getting much help from the Afghanistan Army and the Afghanistan Security Forces. Greg Bruno again states on April 16, 2009, that the Afghan Army currently only stands at 83,000 soldiers, and it is estimated to provide a minimal amount of security. The Afghan Army will have to reach a level of 134,000, and even the most optimistic estimates say that this will happen by only 2012. Without an adequate number of forces, an extra burden is placed on the Afghan government, which is not able to handle this problem. One of the main reasons the Afghan government is so weak begins at the top of the food chain in Afghanistan with President Hamid Karzai. Hamid Karzai has been president in Afghanistan since the U.S. invasion and the year 2002. Richard Opel of the New York Times states on September the 21st, 2009, that Hamid Karzai faced his first political test in this past September's election. Even though it appeared he was re-elected, it now turns out that 1/3 of all votes cast for him are under suspicion of being fraudulent and will be recounted in the coming months. Now, and because of this, he has lost much support among his people and from foreign leaders, and without any kind of strength or public backing, Hamid Karzai will find it very difficult to carry out whatever he needs to do. And with this weak head of state, the Afghan government looks like it might face a collapse. And if this collapse were to happen, it means that Al-Qaeda would surely get a base of operations back in Afghanistan. And without a stable government in Afghanistan, nuclear-armed Pakistan, its neighbor, would also become very dangerously unstable. Clearly, the weak government in Afghanistan complicates the war, but however, the lack of support that it has gotten from its neighboring country, Pakistan, is also very troubling. Now, one of the main problems that the U.S. and Afghanistan are having with Pakistan is that insurgents from the Taliban and Al-Qaeda will attack American forces in Afghanistan and then retreat over the border into Pakistan. And now this means that they have a safe haven because the U.S. is required to get authorization from the Pakistan government before launching any kind of strike in their territory. The Washington Post states on January the 23rd, 2009, that one such issue this past January was when the U.S. used a unmanned drone plane to fire 2 missiles into the Pakistani mountains after retreating Al-Qaeda fighters. The Pakistani government greatly chastised America for these actions, proving that it is more interested in keeping foreigners off its own soil than fighting the war on terror. Now that we fully understand the problems of the war in Afghanistan, we understand the precarious situation that the world faces, and we have investigated why America has so far been unsuccessful in this war by looking at 4 main points. We looked at the strength of the insurgency in Iraq, the need for a troop increase, the weakness of the Afghan government, and the lack of Pakistani cooperation. So, just as through the past 8 years, the people in Afghanistan have heard America's war cry and their cry for safety. However, America will want to keep shouting this until the war is finally safe.